We should all be so lucky to have a friend as I do in Vincent Goodwill, Yahoo Sports NBA writer, host of the Good Word podcast on Yahoo's Ball Don't Lie channel. Because Vinny always shows up for his main man, Michael Smith. How many hours of sleep you working on, Vinny? Because you in L.A. right now. You at that game. I know I'm beat.
It blends in. Put it like this. Once you get to the second round of the playoffs where you're going every other day, Smith, I don't even know what day it is. So I don't know what day it is. I don't know what city I'm in. I don't know what time it is. It all blends in until July.
Yeah, I don't know how that's any different than any other time for me. Most of the time, I don't know what day it is or what time it is. That's why I just go where I'm told. But seriously, they're like, after that game last night, and then you obviously wrote for Yahoo on deadline, like, what time did you turn in? Because we're recording this at 7:15 in the morning Pacific time.
It will probably be around 1:30 Pacific time,
okay.
Which is not that bad if I lived out here, but because I am an East Coast body, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's 4:30 East Coast time, which means, buddy, I can't wait to get home because that bed is calling my name. Which may not be until like a month from now, right? You know what I mean? It may just be a month from now, but that's the first thing I'm going to do. Everybody, what you going to do when you get home? Sleep. That's what I'm going to do.
Word. That is a good word right there. So look, speaking of showing up, I ain't seen somebody show up the way that Lonnie Walker IV did in the fourth for the Lakers last night since Tommy Shepard checked in at the shootout and started hooping in Tim's. Like, where the hell did that come from?
I don't know where the hell it came from. I'm not sure the Golden State Warriors knew where the hell it came from, Mike. Like, you were looking in the fourth quarter, and I was sitting next to someone. He was like, every time Lonnie Walker made a shot, he was like, okay, time to pull him out now. He didn't give you what he could give you. And I'm like, nah, Chief, they gonna ride this one out. You know what I mean? And he was a rotation player to start the season. I was out in LA the first week of the year where they played the Warriors on the road and then the Clippers at home. And I want to say Lonnie Walker IV scored 26 in that Clippers game. He was getting up and down the floor. He was catching alley-oop dunks. He gave them a different dimension of athleticism and speed and aggressiveness. And he wasn't waiting on LeBron or AD to get stuff done. And then, but when you start 2-10, nobody looks good, right? When you're 12th in the Western Conference, everybody has that stink on them. So then when they make the trades, a couple months later, he's out of the rotation. Like, things just don't look the way that, he honestly that would have felt, that would have worked for him. You know what I mean? When you bring in the players you bring in, and then Austin Reeves emerges as a two guard that demands a lot of oxygen and everything else, and he can play off of LeBron and AD in a set offense, there's no room for him. But last night, Darvin Ham has continued in the tradition of rookie coach Nick Nurse, rookie coach Ty Lue, and putting Steve Kerr on the ropes. And he is pushing all the right buttons. And I don't know if he's necessarily getting a lot of credit because we're talking about LeBron and AD and now Lonnie Walker. But, man, Darvin Ham is not showing any level of fear here in terms of the stage. He looks like a dude that's prepared. He's willing to try anything, and anything is working.
That stage for a second, I want to talk, because I know that my heart was pounding during Game 4 last night just from my crib. What was it like? What was the energy like in the crypt?
It's funny because last night, I don't know how it appeared on TV, because sometimes you can watch a game, and if you don't have the stats in front of you, it almost gives you a more pure observation because you're not thinking about, he's missing shots or he has a turnover here or whatever it is. But I felt like Steph Curry had played one of the more masterful floor games in his career. He controlled the tempo. He controlled the pace. He was doing a lot of great passes. He was getting the guys involved.
He was magical, capital M. He was a magician.
He was Magic Curry last night for a large swaths of the evening. So with that, every time the Lakers made a run, you could feel the energy of the crowd sort of getting in it, right? You know what I mean? They were desperate. It felt like the Lakers were down 2-1 with the way that crypto.com crowd was. And then when Steph would, drive and throw a behind the back pass or set somebody up for a shot, you could feel like the air being sucked out of the building. And then the Lakers would come back and make another run, or AD would hit a shot, LeBron would hit a shot. Then Lonnie Walker really got going, and they were excited. They were hyped. Mike, you almost forget, for the Lakers to be this great franchise, it's been about 10 years since they've had a legit playoff run in their building. Longer than that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We're talking about the bubble. Yeah. They didn't get it. Yeah.
They didn't get it. They didn't get a chance to experience it. So it's a lot of pent up emotion. It's a lot of pent up, anxiety and everything else. And it's a lot of excitement because you got this new team that you're still figuring out. They're still figuring out each other. And you're playing against the defending champs. And they're clearly out of sorts, whether it's, let's just say, lack of maturity on a lot of people's parts, the decision making. But you can feel the energy. You can feel the hope for the Lakers fan base within each quarter, each game. There were about 3 or 4 moments last night where I'm like, oh, Golden State's about to run them out of the building. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
You can, like, it's almost like one of the, like, Jordan Poole is like the human run stopper right now. You know what I mean? You put him in the game, you think you're about to go up 11, or you're up 11, you think you're about to go up 17, and you look up and you're down, you're up 5. You know what I mean? Like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It felt like a couple times the Warriors were threatening to break it open, and then they would do something boneheaded, and the Lakers would get right back in it, and they felt it.
That's why that whole, the Warriors have been here before. They've been down 3-1 before. They've come back before. It's kind of like I tell my kids when we talking about money. No, I got money. You ain't got nothing. So like with the Warriors, like Steph, Clay, and Draymond have been there before. But a bunch of them have never been in this kind of situation before and face this kind of pressure, this kind of do or die elimination pressure. And I also want to come back to the Lakers and just, the mood around them and their fan base and that hope that you referenced a second ago. But first I want to go back to Lonnie Walker IV, though, because it wasn't just – he didn't just come off the bench and hit a few spot-up threes. He didn't, get a couple of 50-50 balls. My guy – in that fourth quarter, and he hadn't scored in the previous 15 minutes, but that fourth quarter, and you hit it, you said he ain't waiting for LeBron or Anthony Davis to get nothing done. My guy was like taking pull-up jumpers. He was ISO-ing Steph Curry. He was pushing the pace. He was like, yo, I got this. Like, it's almost like everybody else is looking at it like, and that's Lonnie Walker IV. Like, I'm Lonnie Walker IV, the fourth. King of the fourth. Like, he already got a built-in nickname. That was some real live legendary shit because he didn't just like, he didn't wait for the game to come to him. He took over that game in the fourth quarter. That's the thing that was most surprising to me. And because we've seen guys have a moment, really playing off of somebody else. Hell, the opposing coach is famous for catching, draining Michael Jordan shots, in clutch situations. Can you recall somebody, no disrespect, as obscure as Lonnie Walker IV, not just meeting the moment, but seizing the moment the way he did last night?
Man, you're gonna make me go back into the
because you my NBA encyclopedia. You one of the best NBA historians I know. To be so young, you got a pretty encyclopedic brain when it comes to because you've been there, you've seen it all, and and maybe it might take you a while to think of it, but it's just I don't recall somebody like that approaching the moment like that. Like it was like it wasn't just stay ready so you ain't gotta get ready. It was like, yo, almost like Willie Beeman. Like, I was always a star. Y'all just didn't know it. And maybe he never does anything like this again. But in that moment, it's like he knew that was where he belonged. Like, it was not too big for him, and he was not taking a back seat to anybody.
Well, here's the two things sort of come to mind, 2 instances. And they're, I guess you could say historical instances, but, pardon me if I get this wrong. Tayshaun Prince in 2003. As a rookie, the one-seeded Detroit Pistons were down 3-1 to the Orlando Magic in the first round of the playoffs. Yep. And Tracy
Doc's
McGrady
Magic,
was
right?
Doc's Magic. And it was Tracy McGrady and who else? Nobody, right? And T-Mac was lighting the Pistons up. This is Mac in his prime, 6'9", young, could do everything. and he was lighting up 55-year-old Michael Curry, right? Just had nothing for him. And the Pistons throwing this rookie from Kentucky, first-round pick, but hadn't played at all. Tayshaun Prince, long, rangy, athletic, and the series turned on his ear. And it went from Mac scoring 35 a night in the hardest era to scoring, mind you, to being a guy that, turned the series around. Another example, and this might be a little more germane, but I feel like, remember when the Rockets went on their first championship run with Elijah Wan, and it was these two guys who were just making shots all over the place. It was Robert Horry and Sam Cassell. Sam Cassell was a rookie. Robert Horry was a second-year guy. And you knew that they were talented because they had the pedigree, but you hadn't, seen it. And then these dudes just came up with no fear. That's the thing. Lonnie Walker didn't scare last night. He wasn't bothered by the stakes. I remember the second jumper he took, and everybody who's ever played ball can relate to this. When you take a jumper and then you hop after you land on your feet because you just got so much energy, and it's like a rhythm hop. And before the ball went in, he did the hop, and I was like, oh boy, they're in trouble.
Yeah, he feeling it.
He feeling it. And that
even
was
when he blew a fast break, I forget what point, there was a fast break that he blew. And you could see how dejected LeBron was. He was like, damn, I got to get back after just sprinting down here. Nothing, even the mistake, because Lonnie wasn't perfect, but nothing fazed him.
Mike, to be in this spot, and I think there was some crazy stat last night, a player to have all of his points in the fourth quarter of a game for the Lakers franchise in a playoff setting. The last guy to do that.
Kobe Bryant.
This little Kobe Bryant.
Highest scoring playoff quarter by a Lakers reserve since Kobe in 1997 when he had 17 in the Game 3 semis against Utah. He had a Mamba mentality last night. I know you ain't comparing him to Kobe, but that was a Mamba mentality in that fourth quarter.
Mike, I don't think people understand the magnitude of this. If the Lakers lose last night, and the way that it looked like they were going to lose, LeBron looked gassed, AD looked gassed, Dennis Schroeder was throwing behind the back passes to nobody.
Oh my gosh.
D'Lo was not the same D'Lo from Game 3. Yeah,
Steph
Austin Reeves was having a game. Steph was going off without really going off. The series is tied, home court is flipped, and now the Golden State Warriors have new life. And you're playing, once again, in that building. So now what happens is Lonnie Walker steps into this position, and he doesn't feel the pressure. He senses opportunity. You know what I mean? Look, I haven't played in a long time. What do I have to lose? I have a chance to make my name. We've all been in situations where the ball has unexpectedly been swung to us. What you gonna do when the ball is swung to you? You know what I mean? Just lesson. In general. Yeah, what you gonna do?
Right. This is a metaphor for life. This ain't just basketball. This is meeting your moment 101. So back to the Lakers, man, the macro with the Lakers. And I know you've written about this and this makeover that Rob Pelinka has produced with the Lakers over the course of the season. Not to get too far ahead of ourselves, because it's still got to put the champs to bed.
Please, let's not.
Yeah, but even just to, you spoke to it about just the tension in the arena last night, because it's this is one of the two historic flagship franchises in NBA history, along with the Celtics.
Yep.
They are the standard. They're so used to being the hunted, and yet, even with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, they feel like this scrappy underdog. Because when people say nobody believed in us, they could say that legitimately. They were dead to rights this season, not just the roster construction back when Russell Westbrook and the gang were there, but when LeBron got hurt. I mean, it's almost like the tables have been turned. And not to mention, you're going against the Warriors for the California State Championship. It's just there's something about this. I mean, it really is. But I'll tell you what, man, and my stepdad was a Lakers fan. He loved Magic Johnson. He was a Lakers fan growing up. So, I'm not a Lakers fan. Ironically, I was a Warriors fan growing up. I used to like Run TMC back in the day. But I find myself rooting for this Lakers team in a weird way. You know, like I'm rooting for the big bad Lakers just because of the journey that they've gone through and the transformation that they've undergone this season. I guess, how would you
on your own on that one, JoJo. You on your own, JoJo. Yeah, you on your own, JoJo.
Okay, I'm shocked to hear that because I was going to save this for later, but I'm sure you wouldn't mind being in LA for the finals. Let's not get it twisted.
It's worse places. It's worse places to be.
But even just the story. But Vinny, setting aside like, and I know you're a Pistons guy, so it's hard to root for the Lakers. I get that. You grew up a Pistons guy, but
there we go.
The story though, the story. You and I as journalists, we root for the story.
Yeah,
I don't know that there's a better basketball story than the Los Angeles Lakers right now.
In theory, right? In theory. I think it's a good story right now because it has the sheen on it. I think, unfortunately, what will happen if the Lakers wind up advancing is that the story won't be the story. The story will be LeBron James because he takes up so much oxygen in the air. Everything will be, even if someone does something well, like there could be a different person stepping up every night, it will turn into LeBron James knew it. He told him to be ready. You know what I mean? LeBron told him, look, I'm going to come to you. I'm going to pass you the ball. Like, we will find a way in our media machine to make this about something that is not, because we don't know how to, shall we say, we don't know how to talk about things like that. We go to the tried and true sort of meat grinding model of, oh, historic player here. So that's what we're focusing on, and all these other things are.
But is that so bad all the time, Vin? Like, I get that it might lack some sophistication, and we've talked about this about the lack of nuance and the lack of sophistication around basketball conversation, which is where the good word with Goodwill comes in to save the day. But is that so bad though when you talk about somebody that's damn near 40, whose son just committed to USC, who's the all-time leading scorer? I don't know if it's a bad thing to always make it about LeBron James one way or another. Like, I feel like when you're in that rare air, why not? Why not make it about him while we can? In real time, as opposed to in hindsight.
The problem is, at least in my opinion, the problem is that people will make more out of this. And they will add it to some mythical argument that nobody will ever definitively win and turn it into something that it's not. And
so in other words, you just don't feel like hearing the LeBron Jordan debates. That's coming.
No,
you don't feel like hearing it. Okay. Got it.
What was Jordan doing at age 38? Blah, blah, blah. Like, nobody feel like hearing that shit. The LeBron sycophants and the fanboys, you know what I mean?
I got you.
I don't feel like that. Like, if you could appreciate it for it being in the moment, like, and look at it and say, man, he's in year 20, and even though he's not the same player that he was, he is doing something really remarkable and exceptional, and he's doing it in a completely sort of different way. LeBron is doing a lot more of the little things now than he is all the big things that, we've known him to do. And he's leaving a level of heavy lifting and scoring to other guys, and he's sort of able to, plug the gaps. And I think that's really throwing the Golden State Warriors off. Like, that would be an interesting way, to frame it. But like you said, Michael, you know what this is going to turn into. This is going to turn into the argument of the disingenuous. And there is nothing I hate more. Because put it like this. It's either side. Let's say LeBron gets to the finals and they get beat by Boston. You get Lakers, Celtics. You get the league's wet dream, right? You get my Delta dream of, hey, man, we going zoom, 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 zoom. I'm getting all these Delta miles. I'm getting all this stuff. Let's say LeBron gets to the finals and they lose.
Dream. Yeah.
Right. Let's say LeBron gets to the finals and they lose. So that means now he's 4-7 in the finals. So then you got one side that's saying, oh, the finals lost again. And then you got the other, you know what I mean? Or if they win, then, man, he's got 5 rings now.
He got 5.
That means that, you know what I mean? All this other stuff.
Right.
And
but then, of course, you're going to have but wait, he ain't better than Kobe. Duncan got 5. It's like, you got them off to the side. Yeah. No. But so see, that's for when you come in, Vin. But that's why we need people like you. That's why you're doing the Lord's work, right? Because then when the argument
Sometimes the
happens,
Lord is
you could
tired.
come in.
Sometimes the Lord is tired.
You could come in and set these people straight.
Mike, now you are a football historian yourself. Do you like having to be right all the time? Do you like having to lecture?
It's a burden. It is a burden. I will tell you that, man. It is a heavy burden. But we all got our crosses to bear, right?
Yeah, we do. And like I said, doing the Lord's work, the Lord be tired sometimes. See, that's why on the seventh day he rested. You know what I mean? Where's my seventh day out here? But no,
Yeah.
I think all the way around there are interesting stories through the playoffs. Like you can make a shape-shifting narrative, Mike, for pretty much except for the Knicks. Let's be honest, because the Knicks are about to go home. But for mostly every other team, even if the Warriors came back, right?
Yeah.
Let's say does this erase the 3-1 cookies and all that other stuff? You know what I mean? Steph getting stopped by Kevin Love, Steph getting stopped by Anthony Davis last night. They rebound from that, and come back and feel some momentum. That's a good story. Nikola Jokic in Denver, finally breaking through if they do that. That's a really great story. It's a lot of even the Kevin Durant, Devin Booker thing. You know what I mean? That's a really great story. Like the league is in a good enough.
Yeah.
The league is in a good enough position that any story is really going to be able to be sold. Yeah. I think the sexiness of the Lakers.
I'm not saying the Lakers. I'm not saying it's the only story. I guess it is hard to have. Because when you think story, you think, new, unexpected, a different development. It's like the Lakers being good again. I get it. It doesn't. We've been there, done that. You know what I mean? And again, it is LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I'm just saying, like, where they were, where they started the season, where they were prior to the trade deadline. And I think speaking to the hope and the feeling of it was as if they were down 2-1, that desperation that you felt in the building last night, I think speaks to the fact that this team is still very much finding itself and figuring and discovering itself and discovering things about itself. And to me, that is a compelling story, even if it does come wrapped in purple and gold.
Yeah, it is wrapped in purple and gold, and it can be wrapped sometimes in an annoying, sort of gnawing way.
Okay. Vinny like, nah, man.
But Golden
you ain't
State
getting me to go there.
The Golden State stands can be annoying, and everybody has a few of them in their lives. You know what I mean? Yes. Like we all have to console the Golden State fans. I have not sent my mother a text in a few days because I'm
Your
not
mom's
trying
a Golden
to hear
State
her.
Fan?
She's loved Steph since Steph was in college.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a light skin stick together sort of thing. Could be that, right? Who knows? Y'all on different tribes. But no,
hey, sidebar. Tell me more about your mom.
The outspokenness that you get from me,
yeah,
I get it from her. Like she will text me throughout a game, and so I think it might have been Game 7 in Sacramento, and she said, "De'Aaron Fox deserved a technical. Why didn't he get a technical there?" Or she'll say, "He traveled," and I'm like, "But the game's like on a 15-second delay. You know what I mean? Like when you're watching it live compared to somebody else seeing it. So I'll get a text like a minute later just because she's typing. Like, he traveled. What's she talking about? Oh, but yeah, mom's is
that 5 minutes ago. Yeah, that's right. He did.
Yeah, mom's is she is the voice, I will say, of the family. She is definitely, both of my parents are big sports fans, but she is definitely the one who will text me throughout a basketball game and give me her critique of what I should be writing about, who I should be talking about.
Yes.
And there's a player she don't like, he could put it like this. I can't use the phrase I want to use because this is PG airwaves. But if there's a player she doesn't like, there is nothing that he can do. He can save 5 kids from a burning building, and it wouldn't matter. But if she loves a player, oh boy, he can't do no wrong. And I've been on both ends of I can do no wrong, and I can't stand the sight of you. Do you remember the days where your mom like, man, if you get out my eyesight?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean,
I done been that kid a lot more
could
than
I
I
remember?
care to actually say
Could I
say
remember those
aloud.
days? I had one of those days last night. I had to kick my oldest out my room, but that's a whole nother conversation. What do your parents think of your work and think of your career journey? We'll get back to the finals in a second, but
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
wondering, like, your professional relationship, if you will, with your parents.
It's a weird one because I always tease them that I was the kid that they didn't expect all this from. And they will say, no, that's not the truth. But that's the way I certainly felt. Like my mom is more,
Mm.
as an outspoken person, she is a low key one. So when I first started working in newspapers, she wasn't running around telling everybody, oh, my son covers the Pistons. Like that
Mm-hmm.
wasn't her thing. She was very proud of me, but she wasn't trying to like flex or nothing like that. That ain't her get down. You know what I mean? And she's not as impressed, as proud of me as she is. She's not impressed by me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Where
No,
she
it
ain't gonna
totally
be,
does.
oh, you're so great, and all that. Mama, please, whatever. Boy, go pick up some
Yeah.
food. You know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. Like I'm
Yeah.
still, I'm
Yeah.
still me. But
Yeah.
like at her job that she worked at for like 40 years, like she, worked at Blue Cross Blue Shield, and one
Mm.
of her bosses came in and like put in the projector screen one of my columns that I had written like my first or second year on the beat, and she was like, Kim, I recognized this young man has the same last name as you. Is this your
Mm.
son? And my mom was like in there rolling her eyes. She was like, I can't believe this fool just did this. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
it's stuff like it's that type of thing. My dad is a little more because my dad is a tailor. And my dad used to tailor the bad boys. He was Dennis Rodman's tailor and John Sally's tailor way back in the day.
Bro, I didn't know that.
Yep. My pops is a
Oh, I
tailor. So
bet
he
he
knew.
got stories for days, I bet.
Yeah, my dad is a tailor. My uncle owns a clothing store, so all of that stuff they've been in those scenes, rather those public circles. So he would come back and tell me stories about all these guys. So he humanized them for me. So now he
Mm.
always wants me to humanize, you know what I mean, the players that I
Yeah.
cover now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then of course they got their
Yeah.
YouTube rabbit holes that sometimes they go down and they need me to pull them out of. You know what I mean? That's sort of because they're old. They don't always know the difference
Yeah.
between
Yeah.
the stories at the bottom of the screen and the stories that really happen. But I think by and large, they're always proud of me. But I
Right.
will always say, out of their three kids, I'm the one
Yeah.
that surprised them to be what I've turned out to be.
That's
Does
dope.
that make
That's
sense?
dope. It totally does make sense. Give both your parents my regards and early happy Mother's Day to Mrs. Goodwill.
She got Gladys Knight tickets. That fourth row Gladys Knight tickets
Nice.
for Mother's Day.
That's what you gave her?
Yep, she don't know how close they are yet,
Dude.
but yeah, she's
Ooh,
never
see,
seen
that's
Gladys, so
such a
that's my twin.
Goodwill's a
That's my
good
light
son.
skin. That's my light skinned twin, man.
I love it. I gotta meet moms one of these days, man. That's dope. That's a dope Mother's Day gift right there. They gave you your love of basketball and your impeccable taste in music. Back to the Warriors. Back to our
Yep.
favorite player, Steph. I get the sense, so I don't think they come back. I get the
Mhm.
sense that it'll probably be Marcus Thompson. That when this series is over, it's all gonna come out in the wash. Like there's gonna be some stories written that's gonna tell you just how much of a deodorant Steph Curry has been, just how funky it's been. I mean, we know some of it, and there's some whispers and some talk about some of it, some of the discontent. But like whatever precipitated that, obviously legendary pregame 7 against Sacramento speech, and whatever continue to ails him now, I just get the sense maybe it's Draymond and his situation hanging over. Maybe it's like lingering tension from Draymond punching out Jordan Poole. Who knows? Bob Myers a freak. I think a lot of stuff's gonna come out about just how the Warriors were never really quite like Luther Vandross's curl,
Never quite curled.
never quite right. I think that's what's gonna end up coming out.
Yeah, I think so too, because I mean, put it like this, and people, by and large, people think when I say that I don't think Steph is greater than or better than Magic or Isaiah, that somehow I'm hating on him. Move that aside. He's in the pantheon. But
Mm-hmm.
when you look at Michael, that building that's on the water in San Francisco, the sprawling commerce in the Bay Area, this franchise turning into a $1 billion franchise, Steph can literally pull a Tony Montana and be like, who do I trust?
Yeah.
Me. Because he's the reason that we're all here. He's the reason that the Golden State Warriors, who were a sad sack shit franchise for decades, have turned into NBA royalty, right? Now, he's been paid handsomely after that, after that first sort of, discount deal. But he's looking around, or he should look around. He could look around and say, I'm looking at LeBron James and looking at how they're going all in. You know what I mean? LeBron can be passive aggressive and everything else, but they went all in. They went all in on Russell Westbrook and it didn't work, but they went all in, right? They left no stone unturned. Golden State is in a luxury tax, but they're trying to split the baby. They're trying to develop the young players and they're trying to win at the same time. And there is no way in professional sports that you can really do that. And they won last year, right? They won with Moses Moody and Kuminga on the roster, but those guys didn't do nothing when it came to nut cutting time. When it came to nut cutting time, it was the vets, right? And they got by Boston and they avoided Phoenix and they beat Memphis. They're not catching those breaks this year, Mike. You know what I mean? So if I'm Steph and this is after the season and I'm 35 and I'm still playing masterful basketball, y'all not going to waste the rest of my career trying to make sure that the next generation is okay. I've done enough winning for you. I've shown you that I can do enough winning for you, that I deserve, that we deserve all of the resources, all the devotion. You know what I mean? Like Earth, Wind, and Fire. Do devotion. Blessed are the children. You know what I mean? Like, I deserve, because my skills warranted, that we put all of our resources into trying to win right now, and we worry about tomorrow. You know what I mean? And I'm not even that type of person by and large. But when you're this franchise and you ain't the Lakers, you ain't the team that's always gonna contend and everything else, you don't know when your next ship is gonna come in. So how about we maximize everything we got right now and we stop trying to worry about tomorrow?
Right.
If that's the story that's going to come out after this, in addition to Jordan Poole wetting the bed and everything with Draymond Green, you know what I mean? And Klay Thompson. Think about it. Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, they both want to get paid. Jordan Poole just got paid, or his contract kicks in next year. You think they're not looking at his money and saying, well, if he's getting this and he ain't brought you no real rings, I deserve. And they ain't necessarily wrong.
It's like, not only should this not be the
last night, maybe not Klay Thompson the last night.
Yeah. Not only should this not be the last dance, but the party should just be getting started or still be going strong. At least sounds like you're saying
after the dance, as Marvin Gaye would say.
There you go. So, all right, I'm gonna try one more angle.
Okay.
About how great a story the Lakers are, and I'm gonna connect it to the other game last night. Which, by the way, out of all three series going right now, I didn't think, because I was all nostalgic when it was, that matchup was all set. I thought I'd enjoy Heat Knicks a little bit more, but as Julius Randle said, maybe the Heat just want it more because they're taking the Knicks' hearts one extra possession at a time, beating them at their own game. But having said that, I want to talk specifically about the Lakers and the Heat. Bruh, come on now. You're not going to tell me that.
Nope, don't go there.
When I was on your podcast, when I was on Good Word with Goodwill, I think you asked me when the playoffs started, you asked me like what matchup you asked me what matchups I like to see in the playoffs and what finals matchup I was rooting for. I don't remember what I said. And maybe I didn't think of this because it was so far-fetched. The 7th seed in the West versus the 8th seed in the East, both coming from the play-in tournament? I mean, come on, man. All right, now, Vin, this is where I speak your love language. L.A. and Miami.
That is.
You get up at 7 o'clock in the morning for me any day. And that's in that series, right?
Hey, I'd be with a cabana. I'd have my I'd have my morning cocktail in Miami. You know what I mean? On the
Yeah.
off days, never on a work day, y'all. Don't drink on a work day. But yeah, yes, that would be fun geographically, in theory, right? And it would be a Adam Silver, look, guys, the plan works, sort
Yeah.
of, picture of evidence. In theory, right? And I thought you were going to say this was going to validate the Bubblicious tournament in 2020 because you have the Lakers and the Heat back again. But I don't think from a basketball aesthetic standpoint, if that happened, just because I don't think the Heat have the bodies.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
But wait,
if
but,
they
hold,
wound up,
but hold on. Why you say it validate as if it's invalidated? Am I reading too much into that?
no, because some people have tried to
Okay.
connect the dots and say, well, if you didn't think that the bubble was real basketball and these two teams come back in a years later,
Gotcha.
it validates.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, I mean, here's the thing, if you don't believe in a bubble, you don't believe in it. I don't think something that happens 3 years later is going to necessarily change your mind. Like, these are completely different entities. So,
Right.
you know what I mean?
I don't get that. I don't get the asterisk affixed to the bubble. It ain't like everybody wasn't playing under the same circumstances. Like,
Right.
It might have been unusual. You might not have had actual home and road games. You might not have had travel. Obviously everybody was rocked by the pandemic. It was a unique set of circumstances, emotionally and mentally challenging in ways that matter of fact, you should get more credit for the freaking bubble. Not to get off on too much of a tangent, but like not only should the bubble not be invalidated or not be qualified, you should get extra credit for dealing with that ordeal and coming through it. Again, they all had to deal with the same stuff. It wasn't like the playing field wasn't level or even, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no. I won't say I tend to agree with you, but I understand that the circumstances were different. You know what I mean? Like, it was just no crowds. You had to bring your own energy. You were worried about other things outside of basketball.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because
Right.
these guys were separated
Right.
from their families for a long period of time and everything
Right.
else. And they were saying, oh, it's a pure setting. It wasn't pure, but it was just different. It was unique. And you saw how some guys played in the bubble relative to how they played when you had 20,000 screaming fans
That's true.
in front of
That's
you again.
true.
You know what I mean?
That is true.
So it's just
Yeah.
one of those anomalies.
That bubble
it
burst.
doesn't invalidate. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
invalidate it. But
Yeah.
it's one of those anomalies that you can't replicate,
Yeah.
the circumstances.
But you were saying that aesthetically, you would not like to see Lakers Heat, it sounds like, despite the star power.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing. I love Jimmy Butler from the standpoint of Jimmy Butler comes to ball when the weather gets warm. There are players who play when nobody's watching, and then there are players when the weather gets warm, all of a sudden, hey, I'm here. And that's Jimmy Butler. And I've, covered Jimmy Butler when he was in Chicago, when the Bulls didn't want to give him not one max contract, but two max contracts. And Minnesota didn't want to, give him max. And then Philly didn't, all these other different things. And he went to Miami of all places. And Pat Riley, what the standard is, not Miami necessarily, but Pat Riley's standard for stars is, hey, look at who I've brought in. Look at who I've coached. That's a high bar that you got to cross. And Jimmy Butler has seemingly put himself in the pantheon of that. And from a basketball standpoint, I'm not a person
even without
who
a
likes
title.
Yeah. And Mike, you know me. I'm not a person that likes all this, all the pretty basketball. I can do the gritty. You know what I mean? I could do the gritty 99, 97 games. You know what I mean? Because the competitiveness and the you feel it. You feel the thickness in the air of how desperate those games are. So I won't say it won't be an aesthetically pleasing, like up and down, pretty game. It'll be competitive as all hell, I think. And don't think that Pat Riley wouldn't love to get one over on the Lakers. He would absolutely love that if he had a chance to. Yeah. I just don't think they
Let me tell you, man. The last couple of nights of playoff basketball, I'm telling you.
Are you getting sleep?
I'm sleep deprived? No, not at all. But it's worth it. It has been worth it. We'll talk about the other series another time. I'm sure we'll do this again throughout these playoffs, man, because we really just getting started. But it's hard not to get ahead of myself and think of you want to talk about some debates coming on the other side? Look, man, I'm a Jokic guy. I love to see the noise quieted about what he hasn't done in the postseason. But sign me up for Phoenix and LA KD and LeBron, Booker, CP3 if he's back, AD. Sign me up for that series. And you mentioned Philly. Sign me up for Philly, Miami, and Jimmy Butler versus Embiid. Sign me up for that on the other side. But I'm telling you, man, this is a fun time of year. After last night, you were up working. I couldn't sleep because I couldn't wait to talk to you. Thank you, bro, for getting up and bring your A game first thing in the morning. This how you function first thing in the morning? Yeah,
not really, not at all.
You're him.
This is special energy. I will say next year. We're gonna have to have the failure conversation next time.
Oh yes. Let's bookmark that because yes, as a lot more teams fail. Okay, this postseason, let's definitely revisit the Greek freak philosopher because that right. We kind of touched on it on the phone, but we got to do it on the mic. Vinnie Goodwill is him. He is a Yahoo Sports NBA writer. He is the host of the Good Word podcast on the Yahoo Sports Ball Don't Lie channel. He is my brother from another. I love you, man. Thank you so much for getting up with me and kicking it. I appreciate you. My main man, Vinnie Goodwill, y'all.
Love you too, man. My main man, Michael Smith. Appreciate you, bro.